Hey there, I have very limited videos left, as you can see from our calendar. It's pretty much the end. If you are on track, you have the next 10 days to pretty up your report if need be. Use the feedback from peer editing to improve. If your report wasn't peer edited, no worries. As long as you've peer edited someone else, you have met the expectations. The big thing for the last 10 days is the visual. I scaffolded it so your report has been done over the last 5 or 6 weeks to make the report a little bit less intense, because I imagine now that you have it all compiled, you're going to see that it's quite large. The visual is less large. So I'm just going to go to the course requirements. So if we go to the assignment here, we're going to scroll quite a bit, because the first part is the written report. There is kind of a blurb on the visual here. The written report doesn't cover all of the curriculum expectations, so the visual is kind of filling in the gaps, which wasn't filled out in this in your report, and it's kind of a different way. I know a lot of you prefer visuals because that's the way a lot of people have been handing in their assignments. So feel free to have fun with this. You can create a slideshow, a video, a series of posters or infographics. I don't really care. Whatever you want. And it's building off of what you did in the report. So in the report, you're kind of talking about your idea for a store and how you would do it. The visual is kind of like a fast forward to being actually successful, and you've been asked to speak at Ryerson School of Fashion, which is one of the best fashion programs in the province. The prof has 3 areas she wants you to cover in your presentation. This is typical of being a guest speaker. Generally, the person that's asking you to come will ask you to speak on a certain topic. And there's 3 things that they're studying right now that you might have some knowledge in, being a fashion designer and a fashion entrepreneur. The professor wants you to talk first about global textile production. So this is how textiles and garments are produced throughout the world. This is obviously a huge topic, and you could probably take a whole year course on global textile production. But you're just giving the class a short overview, like a summary of the way that this works. So if you're doing slides, I've kind of given you an idea of what I'm looking for. If you're doing videos, kind of the same thing. This is a way of organizing your thoughts. And if you're doing posters or something like that, you could do a global textile poster, you could do a design poster, and you could do a tools poster. Really, whatever works for you. So for global textile production, you're going to talk about the social and environmental impact of producing clothes and disposing of clothes. Just one slide, one chunk of information. And on your second slide, you're going to kind of extend that to you and your store. How have you, or how could you, reduce your environmental impact? And obviously this is all in made up La La Land, so you can make that up. If you're struggling to think about that in your store, you could also do a little research and find out how your designers, the designers in your store, because you're carrying other brands, how they are reducing their environmental or social impact. So this is kind of the summary. This is the extension of that. The second thing the prof wanted to talk to you about is design. So you're going to pick a designer from your retail establishment and explain their impact on the fashion industry. Just really brief. You might even be able to steal some of the ideas that you've talked about from other activities. I know we did Canadian and International Designers in Unit 3. So if you were planning on carrying one of those designers, you could steal that information. In a second slide, you're going to pick 2 garments from that designer's collection. And you're going to pick a garment that shows how culture could be used. So see if there's a Mandarin collar, see if they're using indigenous inspirations. Have fun with this. This might require you to do a little bit of research. So search your designer and search cultural influences. We talked about design inspiration in Unit 3. So this isn't new. You can go back to that if you want, but it is a little bit of a thinking question. And you're doing the same thing with another garment, showing how media influences. So maybe this is TV, maybe this is a specific celebrity, maybe this is like the internet, any form of media influencing the designer's choice. So have fun with that, and you just need a picture of the garment and a little blurb. Once you have picked the specific garment, so let's say it's a pair of moccasins, I want you to sketch an entire outfit to complete that garment. So if you picked moccasins, you're gonna like include either a dress or a top and a bottom, any accessories to complete the outfit. So similarly to what you did for your Unit 3 summative, and you can put those sketches on the slides. And you're doing a similar thing that you did for the Unit 3 Activity 5 summative. You're just talking about the principles of design. So I've listed them here: silhouette, garment detail, fabric, print and pattern, colors, trims, and embellishment. So you can just list, it doesn't even need to be in sentences, and how you use these. So you've got a slide for the designer, you have a slide for both garments, and then, so you could put both garments on one slide, and then you have a slide for sketch 1 and a slide for sketch 2. And then a slide for the explanation if you need it. Again, if you're not doing slides, then you just need to include all this stuff. I just included it because people always inevitably ask, how many slides do you want for my slideshow? So I think I added it up to about 10. So the design and inspiration is the biggest chunk. I'd say it's about half of your report. And then the tools and skills. Remember, you're talking to fashion students again, so these first-year fashion students may or may not have experience with this. You're going to have one slide where you describe the function of 5 tools and technologies to create the fashion products that you've sketched. So, for example, if you're sketching a dress up here, maybe you need a sewing machine, a serger, you'd need a measuring tape, you'd need like a mannequin, and you need scissors. Okay, so you're going to list those and explain what they do to make a piece of clothing. And then on the last slide, you're going to talk about the construction techniques and the different skills that you would use. So the first slide is about tools. The second slide is about skills or like things someone would do. So this is when we were talking about seams. You might talk about hemming, sewing in zippers, creating collars, pockets. You're just going to list and then describe what that is. So for example, if you were going to talk about how your dress would need hemming, you would say hemming, and then you describe what hemming is and where you'd use it in your outfit. So again, this can be lists. So the idea is the visual isn't so much text. It is mostly images and maybe like point form explanations as to when you need to explain yourself a little bit. But the report is the text. The report is the typing. So feel free to use a lot of images in this visual, because that's why it's called a visual, and keep your explanations to lists and points and bullets, and rather than writing paragraphs. I don't want to see paragraphs on your slide, if that works for you. So report, visual. And the idea is you're working on this course for 75 minutes a day, every day during the school week. So that means that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes at 75 minutes each. So that's over 10 hours to do this visual, which is more than enough time. Keep in mind, the visual likely will not take you 10 hours. I have included some time in there to improve on any of your work. So if you look at your evidence record and you see something you want to change, just submit it to this resubmission Dropbox. I'll put a link again in the news item so you have it available to you. It's here. You can put anything in there. I am going to close the Dropboxes and the discussion boards on Wednesday. So I'm not taking term work past Wednesday. This gives me a time on Thursday and Friday to make sure that all the term work is marked and you have feedback for those things. The last thing is, this is an interesting one. I don't have control over when the course closes. I'll send another news item to remind you, but if you look at the checklist, the visual for the course summative is due Friday at 3:30. This is the end of the school day. All the other deadlines have been at like 11:59. The course is closing on the 17th in the early evening. So you are not able to hand in work past 3:30. So all the Dropboxes will close and the course will completely close by 4 o'clock. So you need to hand this in on time or even early. I would really suggest trying to have your visual in by like 1 or 2, because in case there's some sort of technical difficulties, you don't want to have to be scrambling on that day. I will be paying particular attention to my emails on that day to make sure that everyone is finishing the course and not running into any problems. So, sorry for the novel. Like I said, not very many videos left. Probably only one. That makes me sad. We've been through a lot together. But, yeah, that's it. That's all. So use your time wisely. Finish the summative, and then catch up on the stuff that you haven't handed in. The summative is worth 30% of your mark. It does not make sense to be like focusing on discussion boards and not doing your summative, because discussion boards are just like a tiny little portion of it and your summative is huge. So do your summative, do it great, and then when it's done and when it's handed in and when it's in the Dropbox, then go back and see if there's anything else you want to play with or improve. So have an excellent, excellent week, and we will talk to you soon.